Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Yusuf Faris. Now I will start my presentation. Firstly, I will talk about company background. IJM is listed on main market in Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad. The main business of this company is construction, property development, manufacturing and quarrying, infrastructure concession, and plantation. The main headquarters of this company is at Petaling Jaya, Selangor. IJM focus on countries like Malaysia, India, UAE, Singapore to develop their own market. For your information, IJM was formed in 1983. The IJM words come from the combination of three companies, which is IGB Construction, Jurutama Berhad, and Mudah Jaya Berhad. So far, IJM has received many awards such as title of Builder of the Year award. This award recognizes the individual or organization who have demonstrated excellence in enhancing image, performance and improvement in construction industry. Okay, now we move to the management approach. When a company is preparing the segment reporting, they need to prepare it based on a few information, which is factor to consider having a segment reporting. First is nature of the product or service itself. As we know, IJM core business activities is construction, property development, manufacturing and quarrying, infrastructure concession, and plantation. Secondly is the nature of the production process. For construction, IJM just focus on construction activities. For property development, IJM develop the land into the vacant lot, residential, commercial and industrial building. For manufacturing and quarrying, IJM just concentrate of its production and sales of concrete and quarrying activities. Next is infrastructure concession, which is IJM collapse for long term to use certain infrastructure such as tollway and port operation. Lastly, plantation. This plantation cultivate the oil palm, mining the fruit bunch and trading the crude palm oil. Thirdly is type of customer for product and services. IJM Construction Berhad approach to sustainability recognize that meeting the expectation of the stakeholder is not the only right thing to do, but also critical for their long-term success. Continuous engagement with the stakeholder is also important for their benefit. Who is the IJM stakeholder? IJM stakeholder consists of three, which is A, shareholder, investor and lender, B, a client or customer, and C, supplier and subcontractor. For A, shareholder, investor and lenders provide IJM with the financial capacity to sustain their growth. IJM work to ensure the shareholder, investor and lenders have a strong understanding of their own strategy, performance and business fundamental. For B, IJM engage with their customers to identify their needs and opportunity to improve their own product and services. For C, subcontractor and supplier support many aspects of their business. Collaboration with them will ensure the business can continually improve their operational and deliver the mutual benefit.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Azlan. We move to method of distribution. IJM Corporation distribute the product and services depend of each product and services. Firstly is construction. As the construction is their core business, IJM Corporation linked to many high-profile construction projects such as railways, metro system, bridge, highways, and building construction, both locally and internationally. Second is property development. Property development is led by the IJM Land Berhad, which has emerged as one of the largest property developers in Malaysia. with sprawling township, commercial buildings, and high-rise condominiums. Third business activity is manufacturing and quarrying. It is led by the Industry Concrete Products Berhad (ICP). ICP piles are exported to many markets, including USA, Canada, Middle East, Singapore, Maldives, Myanmar, and Vietnam. Next is infrastructure concession. IJM expertise in building transportation system, power plants, and water treatment facilities, which can be helped to enrich the communities. Today, IJM's total infrastructure asset comprise at total 9 toll road concession, which consists of 4 in Malaysia, 4 in India, and 1 in Argentina. Lastly is plantation. IJM ventured into oil palm plantation in 1985 as a source of steady income from their company. So by now, since 2013, IJM Plantation Berhad now is an upstream agribusiness company which already been listed in Bursa Saham Malaysia. Next, I will be explain about the type of segment. For IJM Corporation, they use operating segment, which can be divided into business and geographical segment. Business segmentation can be referred as revenue that get from the client from the current and main activity of the business. Main activity of the business such as construction, property development, manufacturing and quarrying, infrastructure, and plantation. For geographical segmentation, is determined based on the location of the customer. For IJM Corporation, revenue are determined according to the customer's location, which are Malaysia, India, Indonesia, United Kingdom, and many more countries. Next, I will talk regarding the chief of decision making. Basically, CODM is an individual who analyzes the performance from the various segments and decide the distribution of resources of segment. For IJM Corporation, CODM is appointed to a person who named Liu Hao Seng, which is their CEO and also a managing director. His scope of responsibility is also to review management risk and internal control of the company.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Mohamad Aliff Shahbirin, and now I will explain the segmental report. So now I will explain on how to identify the reportable segment. So if a particular product or service of the entity is significant or constitute as an identifiable business in which the entity operate, then the product or service will be reported as separate operating segment. So for IJM Corporation Berhad, it has 6 operating segment, which are construction, property development, manufacturing and quarrying, plantation, infrastructure, and lastly, investment and others. However, not all operating segments need to be separately reported. Operating segments are only required to be reportable if they meet the quantitative threshold of 10%. 2 or more operating segments may be combined and reported as one if certain conditions are satisfied. Okay, now I will explain the 10% threshold for reportable segment. Okay, now for reporting purpose, a reportable segment is one that meet any 3 of the quantitative threshold tests, which are revenue, operating profit, and identifiable asset. But for this presentation, we only focus on revenue test. For revenue test, its reported revenue from sales to external customer and inter-segment sale must be 10% or more of the combined revenues of all operating segments. As can be seen on the table here, based on that computation, the reportable segments are construction, property development, manufacturing and quarrying, and infrastructure, because their total revenue is more than 10% of total revenue of all operating segments. Therefore, plantation and investment and others are considered as non-reportable segment because their total revenue is less than 10% of total revenue of all operating segments. After determining the reportable segment, the entity should ensure that the total external revenue attributable to those reportable segments is at least 75% of the entity's total revenue. Based on the table here, the total revenue of every operating profit will be deducted with the inter-segment and the share of the operating revenue of associate and joint venture to get the revenue from external customer. After that, the revenue from external customer of reportable segment will be totaled out and divide with the entity's total revenue. And the result is 73.88%, which is lower than 75% of threshold. So, if the 75% threshold is not met, additional reportable segment should be identified even if they did not meet the 10% threshold. So, the next higher, which is plantation segment, will be taken into the new computation. So, the result of the new computation is 83.19%, which is higher than 75% threshold. So, if the 75% threshold is met, then the last step is to construct the segment report. Based on the table here, the segment report will be separated into two segments, which are reportable operating segment and non-reportable operating segment. And all this computation is based on annual report of IJM Corporation Berhad. That's all from me. Thank you.
Now I will talk about the advantage of the segmental reporting. First, segmental reporting will keep an accurate assessment related to all segmentation. In the other way, it also can help the investors to see the full picture of finance that related to all segments in the company. The investors of IJM Corporation can fully diagnose and see how the financial performance by referring to the segment which are construction, property development, manufacturing and acquiring, infrastructure, and plantation. Secondly, segmentation reporting also can be done by separating the profitable segment. By doing this way, the management can analyze each segment's performance throughout the year. This also can enhance the decision-making process. According to IJM Corporation, the management can find a better solution for the plantation and investment segmentation. The disadvantage of segmental report are data manipulation from the segment can easily occur. This can be happen when the management adjusts the unrelated figures into the segmental report just to paint up the company's report. It also can occur an additional production cost, which segmental report acquired cost of collecting processing and cost of managing control system.